each patient's needs. Their team is committed to helping individuals and families live their healthiest lives. For more information or to schedule an appointment, you can call 509-935-6004. New Health, bringing healthcare into communities and communities into healthcare since 1978. And by Fired Up Pizza. Fired Up Pizza, located at 206 East Main Avenue in downtown Chewelah, offers craft beverages and brick oven-fired pizza, including a variety of sandwiches, salads, pasta, and homemade soups. Featuring weekly events such as bingo, karaoke, and live music. Fired Up Pizza also has space for your private event and offers both in-house and off-site catering services. Open daily at 11:30 a.m. for lunch and dinner. For more information, visit their Facebook page or contact Fired Up Pizza at 509-936-9121. Fired Up Pizza is a proud supporter of public radio in Stevens County.
Your KCHW Morning Show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chewelah. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW-FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
And by Chewelah Flooring.
Chewelah Flooring at 214 East Clay in the 3rd Street Mall offers a wide variety of products including carpet, ceramic and porcelain tile, vinyl and laminate planks, and vinyl sheet flooring. Chewelah Flooring carries products for both commercial businesses and residential homes, including brands like National Flooring, Del Tile, Mannington, and Mohawk. They also offer blind repair. For more information, you can visit online at ChewelahFlooring.com, call 509-935-8021, or via email at ChewelahFlooring@gmail.com.
This is KCHW 102.7.
It got moved. Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right now.
All right.
Come on, boy. Yeah.
Oh, I need that horse this morning.
Right?
Good boy.
Come on, just wouldn't wake up.
Oh, goodness gracious, God.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. This is the KCHW Morning Show. It is Wednesday, April 2nd of 2025. Did you guys get any good April Fools yesterday?
No, I
No.
did not.
I didn't either. Well, we are joined here, this is no joke, with myself, Chuck Ritchie, Sharon Ludwig, and Paula Randall, of course, ever lovely, as always. Good morning. How are you ladies doing today?
We're both just fine. Just
We
fine.
are good. It's a foggy, cold morning. I'm
It
ready
was.
for spring. My bulbs are coming up. I already see my crocuses are up. And
I
my little,
have crocuses blooming.
Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
my purple and white ones. And then
Yeah,
the little
purple,
hyacinth
yeah,
bulbs
and-
are coming out. And so they're
And my
super
tulips
cute.
are about this high up.
Yes. So I keep thinking it's warmer than it should be. So I'm not in my hoodie that's warm. I'm in my
Right.
spring, like, colorful tie-dye, happy little coat. Yeah, I'm freezing to death.
I'm
But it's that time of
thinking?
year where you have to wear winter clothes in the morning,
Right.
then you shed them in the afternoon, and then you put them back on.
See, and
Yeah.
this morning I was not awake enough. That alarm went off, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to get up. And then you sit on the bed, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm up. I've got.
I'm still going to have to be in my winter clothes until I get to my summer weight because my
Oh,
clothes
yeah.
don't fit me. Yeah, there's that.
Oh.
You're still handsome.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You're
I've
welcome.
been putting on a lot of weight lately. It's crazy.
That
It's-
winters
it's winter-
do
it's the
that
winter
to
time. Oh,
you
yeah.
because you
Yeah.
don't move and You want to be comfy and sit and watch TV and eat.
Right? I brought all my yoga stuff in, so maybe instead of watching music documentaries and stuff on the big screen, I can put on some yoga classes. And
Oh, how boring.
I
That's
know,
a good
right?
idea.
I know, right?
Actually, they offer sit
They
yoga
do.
over at the Huff.
They do sit yoga.
Yeah. So,
Is-
like, if you're new to yoga and you're not quite sure you can do those extended stretches, she does a special class. You know, she's targeting seniors, but, you know,
Right, right.
still, we could do it too.
Right? I know a lot of seniors that are a lot more flexible than I am.
I was going to say, me too. Oh, goodness. But it's a good day. Glad to be here. It's April already.
And we got some spring-like weather on the way. Not quite yet, but it is coming. Today we're looking at a high of 52 degrees, cloudy skies with some rain developing in the afternoon. Let's see, 34 degrees overnight with partly to mostly cloudy skies. 55 and 32 tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. Some light winds, not too bad though. Then on Friday, sun comes out with a high of 59 degrees. It's starting to warm up a little bit. 35 overnight for the low. Then Saturday, 64 for the high, 38 overnight with sunny skies. 67 and 44 on Sunday. Partly cloudy skies once again with a 4% chance of rain. Probably, I would imagine we get mostly sunny skies then. So it's going to be
Going to be a
it's
gorgeous
gonna be
weekend.
a gorgeous weekend.
Yeah.
That mid 60s and sunny. Ooh, it's nice. That's the weather to live for right there. That's the best stuff of the year. Then 67 and 44 on Sunday with partly cloud. Oh, I already said that. Monday though, more showers on the way with a high of 56 degrees, 40 degrees overnight for the low, 60% chance of rain. Then Tuesday of next week, 57 for the high, 41 overnight with a 33% chance of rain. But the little icon looks like we might get a little mix of rain and sun. Maybe we'll get some of that sunny rain.
On
Is there-
Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday of next week.
Oh, mine doesn't show that.
Oh, PM showers. So looks like probably,
Nope.
let's say mix of clouds and sun in the morning, giving way to a few showers during the afternoon with a high of 57, 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, 41 degrees overnight with a few showers early, then mostly cloudy conditions. So,
Yeah, not a mix, though. It looks like it's solid rain.
well, yeah, but I was going by the day, the overall, the 24-hour period.
Oh, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. All right, so moving on to the mountain conditions. Of course, this weather and mountain condition report brought to you by 49 Degrees North Mountain Resort. We have a snow depth at the base of the mountain of 74 inches. 30 degrees currently with 0 to 3 mile an hour winds, good visibility, and no precipitation. Oh, it apparently must not be foggy up there.
Which is
'Cause
crazy. It's so foggy down here.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, when I first got up this morning, it wasn't foggy, and I
Really?
let the dogs out, and it rolled in quick. It rolled in really fast, yeah. Or maybe it was, and I just didn't notice it in my backyard.
Wow.
don't
Yeah, I
know.
was going to say, I looked up and it was like all white. It was like
Well,
a
we
wall
do
of
have
white.
many climates in this
Yeah.
town.
That's true. That's true.
You're on the
Let's-
other side of the river from me.
This was about 6 a.m. when I first noticed, and it wasn't cloudy. But at least the sun.
You were up at 6?
I know,
I'm
man. My
always-
alarm hadn't even gone off yet.
Six,
Oh,
six-ish.
man.
Six-ish. We're gonna. It's important to add the ish on the end.
Of course, he only went to bed an hour before that, probably.
Right.
I went to
Yeah.
bed about 2:30.
Oh.
By the time I stopped poking
You
at
were
my phone and actually closed my eyes, it was
Right.
probably about
You
3.
were to bed early.
No, it was too late. So moving on to the summit of the mountain, we have a snow depth of 187 inches, 3 inches of new snow in the last 24 hours. Still getting some snow up there. 28 degrees currently with 0 to 7 mile an hour winds. Good visibility, no precipitation, and partly cloudy skies. Yeah, they're continuing getting some really great conditions.
It's awesome
pretty
up
late in
there.
the year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, as the next couple of weeks, all the other regional ski resorts are starting to shut down. Not 49 degrees
49.
North Mountain Resort. They're going to stay open until I think May 5th was what I saw.
Is that the latest?
But into May, I don't know if they've actually announced a date. I might just be imagining that.
Well,
I might
it
have
probably
dreamed it.
depends on the weather.
Yeah.
And besides, we're famous, Chihuahua, for being able to golf in the morning
And
and
Ski
ski in the
night.
afternoon.
That is awesome. Talk about all weather entertainment here.
Of course,
Yeah.
I know there's places in California where you can surf in the morning and then, or go skiing in the morning and then come back in the afternoon when it's warm out and go surfing in the ocean. So
Ah,
Actually, so that's actually really funny because I've only done cold weather skiing.
yeah,
And that sounds like, of course it's cold weather. But in California, I drugged my 2 friends in high school. We drove all the way up to the ski resort up in Northern California. And so I had us in ski pants and parkas and sweaters. We got there and people were skiing in shorts. We were shedding. Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And they were like, "Do you really know how to ski?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I swear, I've been skiing since I was a kid." You know?
Just never
Now this
skied
warm
in the
skiing
tropics.
stuff. That's weird.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's a thing. Okay,
All
we
right.
have new menus.
Tell us what we had.
Because it's April and it's so pretty. So good job, school. But again, backlight those text boxes. I really like this one. Okay, so Wednesday, April, we of course have our rotating breakfast sandwich with fruit or juice. Fruit breakfast. I obviously have not had my coffee. Fruit breakfast parfaits with granola, fruit, or juice. A variety of cereal is available with a cheese stick or yogurt, fruit, or juice. Just pretend like there's milk in there. Or bread or muffin with cheese stick or yogurt and fruit or juice. And I'm just kidding. A variety of milk is offered daily.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days, we're going down to see what they really do for breakfast.
Right?
Because can you mix it up and have line 1 on one and line 2 on another?
Right?
You know?
Like, can I have a rotating breakfast sandwich and still have my yogurt?
Yeah.
Or what about some extra cheese, like a cheese stick that I can shred up and stick in there?
Right?
Yeah.
See?
And
Wait.
I
And how fast does it rotate?
Discern-
Exactly. I have this image of
Discerning
these-
minds
these-
want to know.
Exactly. I have this image of the sandwiches on like the end of a fishing line that's just sitting there doing that. And then, of course, Wednesday morning, the kids are going to have for lunch popcorn chicken with chips and fruit or veggies with a variety of milk offered daily. Oh, and Gino says the golf course opens on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
Wow.
Wow. I didn't realize it was so soon.
Yeah.
I'm
Actually,
telling
if you
ya.
drive around town, all the grass is turning green.
It's
Yeah.
green.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and
Flowers up.
I walked through my yard and I'm going, ooh, pretty soon I'm going to have to mow. you know?
right?
So we ordered a new lawnmower. It's going to be
Oh.
here April 8th, and I'm looking at my yard and looking at the calendar and looking at the weather, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to mow it that late.
Oh.
I might have
Right.
to borrow something.
Is
or-
it a push mower or a riding mower?
It is a push mower, but
Ah.
it is a extra wide double bladed push mower. So it's like
Wow.
this big fat wide.
And is
Push
it
mower.
has the wheels that they engage and they
Yeah.
self-propel?
Yeah, battery operated.
Ooh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going big
80
time.
80 volts, 10
Wow.
amp hour. Yeah.
I have this vision of Chuck holding onto the mower for dear life, going and it's like running, and his body is like level to the ground. And
It is the fastest self-propelled lawnmower on the market.
wow, so my
Wow.
Yeah,
vision is
so
not
like-
necessarily wrong.
So you could almost crank that thing up to max. It's got variable speed. You could almost run behind it.
oh my gosh!
My riding mower went out a couple years ago, and I've just got this little tiny. It's like a little 15-inch wide one that I bought for like doing the edges and the trimming and by the creek and stuff. And I tried last year once mowing my whole yard with it, and it was just no, it just wasn't gonna work.
When we first moved here, Daniel got a push mower, the old-fashioned bladed
Oh,
that you have
yeah.
to the razor blade one thing.
Uh-huh.
You kind of have to
Oh
push.
yeah.
Yeah, that I just bless his heart. He was so sweet going out there and mowing, and the grasses, that early spring grass. It's kind of willowy and tall,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
would just bend over, and he'd go over it and over and over it. And it didn't get cut at all. It would just spring
Well,
back up.
And you have to mow almost every day for those kind of mowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've talked to so many people that with good intentions. I've done it myself. You go
Right.
and you buy those because they're supposed to be the best for the grass.
Right.
Because they're gentle, they're a little slower, and they have like more of a scissor action than just a blade just hacking at it. But no, yeah, they never work. I don't.
Well, they work, but
But
Well-
you have to mow
Yeah,
when
it's-
it's just that high.
yeah.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think too those were used more at a time. Our current what we think of as grass is like nice lush green grass, not necessarily
Yeah.
traditionally. This is a fairly recent development. It's only been since about the 50s or 60s that the actual bladed grass that we know today
Yeah.
has been common. Before that, it used to be a mix of different grasses and what we would consider today weeds, especially clovers. You look at all those old, beautiful Victorian gardens and lawns. There's no grass in there. They're mostly clover and native plants.
And sheep.
Yeah, and sheep.
Right.
Sheep. But those old blade ones, they're meant for clipping. Like they work best with like clover and larger
Huh.
tops that they clip off. This bladed grass that we've become accustomed to. Thank you to the chemical
Right.
companies for selling us the fertilizer. That's the only thing that keeps it alive.
Well, ours is still
yeah.
coming back. It's coming back, but I have not. See, we still have leaves everywhere because I have yet to see a little happy yellow head of a dandelion.
Oh yeah.
There are lots of shoots. I see the leaves, but I have yet to see the little. But my crocuses, I'm just so impressed with nature because they just are growing right through leaves and they're pushing their
Mine
way.
too.
And it's like, oh, and I went through and I'm like, I've got to uncover these bulbs, and I'm going through, and I have inches of leaves that are just providing great cover for, different that thing, where they fly, pollinators.
Pollinators.
I unfortunately have great coverage of leaves in my driveway that are making
Oh no.
weeds grow through my my gravel, but
Oh no.
Well, before we
That'll
get
happen.
into local happenings, which is what this is, what about birthdays?
birthdays. Thank you.
Yes.
Do we
Sharon,
have
keeping
any?
us on track.
Well, we have a
We-
guest today, so we want
We
to stay
do.
on track.
Yes. Speaking of the school lunch menus and the school, our guest this later in the show for the second half is Jason Perrins, our school
Yeah.
superintendent.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So, yeah, he was going to be joining us for the second half of the show. Today for our Chihuahua Valley Lions Club calendar, we have Paul Repet. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly.
We all look at
With,
Sharon.
with a birthday. You know everybody in Chihuahua.
No, I don't.
And then Gary and Elaine Roach have an anniversary.
Nice.
So,
happy
nice.
anniversary.
Happy birthday and anniversary, everybody. I'm looking at tomorrow's calendar, and it's going to take a while to get through all those names tomorrow. So,
Ooh.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a busy time. Okay,
Yeah.
ready? Happy birthday. Happy day.
Happy
Happy birthday.
birthday,
Yay. Yay.
Hey.
hey, Sharon.
Hey, Sharon got in on it. Yay. That is
Yay.
awesome.
All right, let's head straight into our event calendar.
All right.
But really quick, though, before we get started
Okay.
on here, I want to talk about Chihuahua's new event calendar.
Okay.
This is, if you go to chihuahua.events, there is a new calendar. This started as a sort of a collaboration created back and forth between the Creative District and the Chamber of Commerce. And now there are multiple organizations involved. I've got a list somewhere, not in front of me, of all the different organizations, the radio station. I'm not sure about the theater, if you guys have signed on yet.
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Yep, the board voted on it. So we
The
have
Arts,
the
Arts Guild. We're talking with Jared from the Independent about doing a printable version that he can pull from to help him with his and get a community event section going in the newspaper.
Nice.
We're trying to get all the different as many different organizations as we can to sign on, and have one central calendar. You can still have your individual calendars for your different organizations, but make sure to post everything so we have one place to go with everything on it.
That's happening in the region.
It's
yeah,
happening
in
right
our
now.
town.
And that website is chihuahua.events. And if your organization is listening and wants to take part, and you can actually post this as a link, embed it in your website. So when they click on the calendar, boom, it goes right to this calendar.
And it's free.
It is free.
It is free.
It's free to become a partner. It's free for the public. It's free. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's color coded and it's easy to read. Yeah. It's a nice calendar.
There are no
Yeah.
yard sales on there yet, but there is a discussion to have a sort of a separate calendar
I'm
just
pushing
for
hard
yard
for the
sales.
yard sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't. I guess the consensus is we don't want it to clutter up what's going on in the main calendar. But the idea is that there's a side calendar that, like for yard sales or estate sales or, dog washing stations or something like that. That we have that on that calendar and
Right.
not on the main. So
And as we go on and more people start using it, it will get very, very. We're
Yeah.
going to have to focus on making sure it stays organized as we go on, because there's a lot of stuff going on around
Yeah.
here.
So when
Speaking
there's
of-
an arrow on the bottom of it, does that mean there's more things? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And if you want, you can go to the list view, and there you have it by each day. So here's everything going on the second, and it's
Wow.
in list view with all of the details. And then there are different highlights to designate what the type of event is, if it's community or a show or an event.
Nice.
Sports, and so it really helps everybody understand what they're looking at. And you can just go day by day with a list view if that's the way you prefer to see your information.
And one thing I appreciate is you can actually, without moving to a different page, you can expand the list if it's too much to fit on there, and you can click on each individual item, and it opens up in a pop-up window instead of opening in a new page. So,
Oh, to give you more information.
yeah.
Yeah. And then links to go to where you get.
Yeah, additional info.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, anybody can post, and if your organization becomes a partner, you'll get one person assigned from your organization to be whitelisted. So basically, you can post without having without needing to have it approved.
Right.
But then, as people from the public or other people enter in, because anybody can enter anything to the calendar, and then it goes to all those list of whitelisted people to do the approval or denying the post. So.
Mm-hmm. So there's no delay. You can
Yeah.
put something up on the calendar. You won't have the opportunity to delete it, but if you need something deleted, there are 2 people who are authorized to go ahead and remove things that aren't on there that need to be edited, things like that.
Yep.
So this needs to be edited.
Yep, I have to get that off,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have to move that to Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a to-do list.
Yep. Yep.
We're just trying to get it live. It's like, go.
But another point of this is to take the responsibility off of whoever the office manager is for the Chamber of Commerce, who previously people would contact them and say, "Hey, I need something on the calendar." It took up a lot of her time
Yeah.
doing that stuff, and now it's
So if I am the person from my organization and I put things on and I accidentally put it on Wednesday, and then the next week I realize, oh, it should have been on Thursday, I have the ability to change it. I don't have to go through an administrator, or does it have to go through an administrator?
I think on the changes or deletions, those have to go through one of the 2 administrators.
really
Even if I'm
Okay.
the one who's from my group.
Yeah, the
Okay.
last I spoke to the creator, the representatives have the opportunity to add things, but to delete them or to edit them, that has to go to one of the 2 administrators.
Okay, so where on this calendar do I contact that?
You would just
go
there.
to click the contact. button.
contact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd contact it and I'd say, whoops, we have changed our meeting from the
Exactly.
first Thursday to the second Thursday or
Yep.
whatever. So then it can get changed.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Nice.
So let's talk a little bit about what's on the calendar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
not on the calendar?
Right.
Look at this beautiful, colorful thing.
Well, we'll see if I have picked up most of the things that are on the calendar, and you're going to double check with me. So today is Wednesday, April 2nd. We have soft pickleball from 9 to 11:30 for 18 and overs at the old middle school gym. And this weather, pretty soon they're going to be outside. Yeah, up at the golf course. So, but right now it's still at the middle school.
Still a little chilly out there. I
It
think, for
is.
that. Yeah.
It is. This evening we have bingo at Fired Up Pizza from 6 to 7. Today, Cougars softball. They have a home game against Tico Rosalia. It's a doubleheader. We also have Chewelah Cougar tennis. It's home against Medical Lake. So actually, if you had one child doing tennis and one doing softball, you could see them both because you can run back and forth.
Nice.
Yeah. The second and fourth Wednesday, that's not this week. Never mind, it didn't get moved down. Also, we have City Council tonight at
Yes.
6.
Catch all the excitement.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
also right here on KCHW at 4 p.m. is our special monthly About the Arts show. That is with Tim Nielsen, and this month we have Nandis Taylor and Marcy Bravo talking
Okay.
about the recycled art show.
Nice.
And that's not on the community calendar
It is
yet.
not. Well, it's a KCHW program, but we should put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
We should put all of
it
our
on the
programming
calendar.
on
Yeah.
Yeah.
there. Yeah, we should.
Kind of interesting. So, did I miss anything off the calendar?
We have this first Wednesdays with Ted at the Chewelah Public Library. Is that still going
that
on?
is no longer happening right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's not on our calendar. It was on the chamber calendar. So good to know.
Okay. Did I miss anything?
the Chewelah Valley Lions Club is meeting today at 5:30 at the American
yep.
Legion Post 54, and they are looking for new members. So if you're interested
Nice.
in the Lions Club, they do lots of amazing stuff for the community. They put out these calendars we read every day.
Yay.
5:30 at the Chewelah Valley Lions Club today. You can
Yep.
go there, and then you can go catch the city council meeting.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. And tomorrow is a big day in Chewelah. Tomorrow is the first Thursday.
It is.
Art walk. Yay.
Well, that's just silly. I didn't proofread my stuff last night. I have the chamber meeting on Thursday, and it's not. It meets on Friday. Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, pickleball. 2
Yeah,
typos.
so those should have been moved down there, and they didn't get moved down. Oh, well. First and third Thursday, Chewelah Valley and Springdale Senior Club meeting at Valley from 10 to 3 p.m. That's their potluck. We have First Thursday Art Walk, and included in that we have the Recycled Art Show over at the Aaron Huff Memorial Building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I noticed on the flyer that it says to create art with Gail Shirapi. She is a very talented person. She used to teach out at Valley, and she taught Spanish and art, which is,
Nice.
Yeah. And it says featuring the underwater world of Marco Bravo.
Marcy Bravo.
Marcy.
Marcy
Okay.
Bravo.
I'm looking through a mic.
And it's dark over there.
Yeah, this speaker
Oh,
thing.
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
There's a light behind you we should turn on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's at the Aaron Huff. But over at the, tell me what's happening at the gallery, the art gallery.
Yeah, it is a review of the Winterfest for the Arts that's been on display since February.
Uh-huh.
This is the last month of that you can go see all the winners, all of the amazing, phenomenal artwork over there from the Winterfest for the Arts. Also, I believe Jessica Carpenter is going to be doing some tarts at the Yale Press. So this is food art, and she's also going to be joining us this evening at 4 p.m. Is that evening, afternoon, late afternoon, early evening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between.
Yeah,
It's
afternoon.
the Netherlands.
Afternoon. Before dinner. Afternoon. Very cool. And then, of course, Thursday morning, we have the Chihuahua Food Bank that's open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you need anything, if you're going hungry, there's no reason to go over to the food bank. They're awesome. And get some food for yourself, and they'll get you set up for a month. Also, they're still doing their food drive, so if you have anything that you'd like to donate, if you have money you'd like to donate, please go see them again between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. over at the Senior Citizen Center on 302 East Main. You just go up to the window during those hours and either give them your donation or say you need help, and they will help you and get you all set up.
And they don't ask a bunch of embarrassing questions, do they?
No.
Because often people need help.
Yeah.
They do.
And it doesn't matter your financial situation, because sometimes even people who look like they're well-to-do are not, and they're struggling, and especially in this economy that we have right now.
I know there are people that never have, but I struggle to find people that have never at one point or another in their life, whether through childhood or through adulthood, haven't had to get some help with food at one point or another in their life. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did when we were young marrieds, and we went through the food program in our church, and it was. At first, you're embarrassed, but they're so wonderful and kind.
Yep.
Yeah, and no judgment. I know.
And no judgment.
We did it. We went through there one month when we had a payroll snafu where their payroll company messed up and we didn't get a check. We had nothing. I mean, we had. It was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And so, of course, no money or anything, but they made sure that we weren't hungry.
Yeah.
And they gave us more food than I ever expected in a million years. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, really, this is good. I mean, oh my gosh, thank you, but wow.
That's
and
awesome.
it was fresh produce, and it was box stuff. It was lots of meat. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So no reason to go hungry. And again, if you have anything that you can donate to support the Chihuahua Food Bank, if you have some extra dollars, go ahead and go over there between 10 and 2 on Thursday and give them your $5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And look at those expiration dates.
Yeah.
You don't want them to have to throw out the food, Yes, food can be used past the expiration, but don't give food that's been expired.
Right. And on that thought, Katie Darling says Second Harvest will be at the Colville Fairgrounds tomorrow from 11 to 1 with food boxes for anyone that can make it up to 250 families.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
I'm so glad to see that.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, she
that
says
happening.
that if you make it, the line starts about 10 a.m., an hour before.
Yeah, these are great though. This is I'm going. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so also tomorrow, along with the first Thursday Art Walk, we have Craig and DeBratz at Fired Up Pizza from 5:30 to 7:30. So as you're walking around town and enjoying the arts in the different places, you can listen to that music too as you're going by Fired Up.
Yeah.
Yep. And over at The Oasis, they have karaoke with DJ JD, and that's every week from 8:30 to 11:30 p.m. So you can hop back and forth and hear music.
Outstanding.
Yes. And if you're a golf fan, Chihuahua Cougar Golf is at Ritzville. So
Very good. What time is that?
Wow.
I don't know. People who follow the
People who are going to go, no.
people are yeah, exactly. And on Friday, I don't have much except for the chamber, adult pickleball, and then we've really got a lot of Chihuahua Cougar sports. Baseball, home against Davenport. Softball, home against Davenport. Tennis, home against Newport. That parking lot at the high school is going to be jam-packed with baseball,
That is awesome.
softball, and tennis. And then we have track. It's called the Glen Wolf Invite. And I had to ask where that was, and that's at Deer Park. So Friday we've got sports, and what else?
Sunday.
Right?
No, that's Friday.
No, that's Friday.
But on
That's
a Friday.
So
Yeah.
anything else that is going on?
Not that I see.
Okay.
The Craig Meyer karaoke is going to be at Fired Up Pizza at 6.
She said that.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, you did? I thought I heard.
Oh
I heard
no,
it for
that
Thursday.
was on Thursday.
That was on Thursday for the Oasis. This is Friday at Fired Up.
Oh, I thought I
Wow.
heard that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wow. And then Saturday, we have more sports. We have Cougar Baseball home. It's a doubleheader against Liberty Bell. So that will be morning and afternoon. I don't have the times. But if you are following the baseball, you know. And with baseball especially, double check the Chihuahua School District webpage, and the schedule's changed. Yesterday I was checking the schedule, and there were some changes. Baseball, softball changes.
Wow.
Tennis doesn't normally change, and neither does golf, and I don't know why. Let's see, the tennis would be on a solid field. I don't know. Baseball and softball around here, I had a friend who said, well, we always played in the rain. He grew up over on the coast, but their fields are made different. They just can absorb the rain and then dry up, or they can play in the rain. Around here, the fields get mushy.
So the other ones
yeah.
they're built different.
Yeah, they're built different. The fields are built different. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Also on Saturday, April 5th, we don't want to
Yes.
forget about an evening of wine and poetry, a night of inspiration. And that starts, that was Chuck. We're like, where's
That
it
was
coming
me.
from?
Yeah.
That was me.
That is over at the Chihuahua Center for the Arts. It is $15, which includes refreshments and the first glass of wine. Additional wine is available for $5 per glass. Books by local poets will be available. Tickets are available at the door or at ChihuahuaArtsGuild.org.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be live readings from talented local poets and writers as you sip on your complimentary glass of wine and savor light refreshments.
Uh-huh. And also, I hadn't gotten to Saturday yet, but Saturday morning will be Cougar Baseball home. Did I already say that? Against Liberty Bell?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's the double header. Maybe I did. Then Sunday, unless we have anything else for Saturday, we have All Ages Blues Jam from 4 to 7. This is becoming a mecca for musical art in this town. You can go do something musical almost every day of the week within just not very many miles. Chihuahua, Colville, Deer Park, we got music going all the time. Monday, we have adult pickleball. And then I don't have anything for the rest of the week, but I want to bring up next Saturday is the citywide cleanup. That's April 12th. Citywide cleanup. Also, April 12th is some really wonderful things going on. There's a pub crawl, I understand. There's the Secret Garden Gala and auction to benefit the Colville Valley Animal Sanctuary.
Yes.
Let's see what we have on it. I don't know where it is.
Which they're back up and running again with their vaccination clinics. There's none this weekend, but
no, there was last weekend,
Yep.
but none this weekend. So there'll be another one coming next month. But the Secret Garden and Gala, this is their big deal, and it's at the Colville Ag Center, and it's amazing to go. It is $50 for adults, $25 for children, but there's a silent auction, appetizers, entertainment,
Yeah,
a
look at all
dinner
that.
buffet, beef, chicken, vegetarian options, dessert and dancing, the live auction, and the evening close of dancing, auction, and checkout.
And it says they have a presentation that they're doing as well while everybody is eating.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that looks like a lovely evening.
Yeah, and it benefits the Colville Valley Animal Sanctuary. And so, you suppose they're giving away free puppies?
You know, there are several litters that they are currently sheltering and trying to find homes for. So always make sure to go check it out. Check out what puppy you can adopt and give a home.
Yeah, yep. Also on that day, Saturday 12th, April 12th, citywide cleanup. I think I said that, the Secret Garden. We have, so tell us about this Celtic folk funk.
I was
Yes.
going to say, and what else? Yes, I am so excited. My bards are coming over from across the mountain. When we had a band for over 12 years up and down the Seattle coastline, and there are 3 people who wrote music. So that's why our sound is Celtic folk fun. Multi-layered harmonies of fun music. It's free. It's at the radio station. Come on over. We're going to play. It's just going to be a fun time for everybody. We're excited about live streaming. Karen is going to be here to be interviewed on the
Yes.
11th, right before the show. And I'm super excited. Teresa, who we did not think was going to be able to make it because of health issues, she's over in Montana. She's going to try to drive over. So
Wow.
it really will be the full band together for the first time in like 14 years.
That is awesome.
It is so exciting.
And that is a free show right here at the
It's a free
KCHW
show,
Theater.
yeah.
So,
So,
there-
yay!
it is a free show, but I bet you there's going to be a tip jar out for the band.
There will be a tip jar. I would love to be able to give my bandmates. I'm like, here, thank you for coming over the mountain, both directions. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
if you're coming for the show, there will also have sign-up forms for the Chuila's Got Talent and
Yes.
membership forms if you're not yet a KCHW member.
Yes, it'll
So-
be fun. It'll be a good night with lots of you to take a look at, lots of you to sing, enjoy yourself. We're super excited.
Okay. And then a couple of just coming up beyond that in Colville is a gardening workshop called From the Ground Up. And that is, April 19th. We'll tell you more about that in next week. Then coming up also, the Chuilas Farmers Market is going to open.
That's in May.
May. Yep. And there's other things coming up in May, but we're not going to get your mind confused about that kind of stuff right now.
Yeah, there's
What-
lots going on in April.
Yep.
Except for Chuila's Got Talent, which
Chuila's Got Talent.
auditions are May 3rd and May 10th, and the final show is May 24th at the Chuila Center for the Arts. We have audition forms up and available. I have paper forms here. I can email you a PDF link to those forms, or we have in our comments right now. I put a link for the online sign up form. We also have an online form for donations and to purchase your tickets. And I will be
Okay.
getting those up
Yeah.
on social media and Facebook immediately after the show.
Well,
Yeah.
and speaking of auditions, The Tempest. I'm doing The Tempest this summer.
Oh, yes.
The Shakespeare in the Green. And we are doing The Tempest based out of the Pacific Northwest coast. So we will have live powwow singers. I'm super excited. I confirmed them.
That is cool.
Right, this
Very
past
cool.
weekend. And I'm looking for my artists so that we will have the look of the play and the costumes will be influenced by the Pacific Northwest indigenous tribes. So very, very excited about that.
That's awesome.
Stoked, but auditions will be in May, so be looking for that poster.
And one other thing on May 3rd is the citywide yard sale. And if you want to get on
Yes.
that map, you contact the
Yep.
Independent and start putting stuff aside so you can be part of that. We have people coming, up from all over.
Yep.
You know, there's people that come and just visit their family because we're having a citywide yard sale, you know?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, come from Yakima, come from Coeur d'Alene, come from wherever.
I
yeah.
love it.
We're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
a big
We are
deal.
kind of a big deal. All 2,500 of us.
Yeah.
Come on out and see us.
All right. Well, we have our guest in the studio here. Jason Perrins is with us. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break and listen to some news. Thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back after this break with more KCHW Morning Show and our special guest this morning, Jason Perrins, the superintendent of the Chuila School District. Did I catch you up? Did we get everything?
Yeah.
We'll be right back on KCHW 102.7 Northern Lights Public Radio.
Yeah.
It's 8:08.
You're listening to Northern Lights Public Radio on 102.7 KCHW. Chewelah, Colville, Kettle Falls.
The Public News Service doing newscast April the 2nd, 2025. I'm Mike Clifford. Susan Crawford projected by NBC News to win the open seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, keeping the High Court's 4-3 liberal majority intact and delivering a blow to Elon Musk and President Donald Trump. That from the Hill. The race was seen as a test of Musk's political sway as his super PAC, America PAC, alone spent more than $12 million to support Schimel. He also traveled to Wisconsin Sunday, where he handed out $1 million checks to voters who had signed his petition. And from the Associated Press, Republicans Jimmy Patronis and Randy Fine won special elections Tuesday in 2 Florida congressional districts, bolstered by President Donald Trump's endorsement to fill vacant seats in reliably Republican strongholds. Their margin of victory was cut in about half from Trump's in Florida in November. Montana scores a C- on a new report card for America's infrastructure.
The American Society of Civil Engineers says the state's performance is average in upgrading its drinking water, solid waste, and aviation systems, but more funding is needed for schools, since most were built before 1970, and stormwater infrastructure, which the EPA has estimated would need $22 million in upgrades. Darren Olson, who chairs the report card committee, says states should make improvements to brace for extreme weather events and other environmental challenges.
Investments in resilient infrastructure are consistently proven to be an effective use of limited public dollars, especially by minimizing rebuilding needs after a significant event. By adopting the most up-to-date codes and standards, communities will be better equipped to handle disasters.
The report says updating building codes will be essential to protecting public health, public lands, and improving traffic safety. It also suggests the state find dedicated funding for infrastructure improvements, as temporary sources can lead to gaps. I'm Kathleen Shannon.
Next to Colorado, where the congressional representative there, Lauren Boebert, has introduced a bill that would remove gray wolves from the list of endangered and threatened species under the Endangered Species Act.
The measure would also prohibit any challenges to the law in court. Jewel Tomasula with the Endangered Species Coalition says House Resolution 845 is essentially recycled legislation.
The bill would reinstate a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service delisting decision issued in November 2020, the end of the first Trump administration. And this was overturned in court because the Fish and Wildlife Service did not use the best available science, among other serious errors.
The move comes as President Donald Trump and allies have accused federal courts of trying to overtake the executive branch's authority by blocking a number of executive orders. After being hunted and poisoned to near extinction, the return of the gray wolf to the lower 48 states is widely viewed as one of America's greatest conservation success stories. The livestock industry, which has overtaken large swaths of historic wolf habitat for grazing, has opposed protection, citing concerns about predation. I'm Eric Galatas.
This is Public News Service. Indiana lawmakers are considering a statewide ban on marijuana advertising after a House committee approved an amendment on Monday. We get the details from our Joe Ilori.
Republican Representative Jim Pressel of LaPorte said his district near the Michigan border is flooded with billboards and mailers promoting dispensaries in nearby New Buffalo.
This is an issue in northern Indiana for sure, in my district, and as I talk to other legislators from northern Indiana, we are inundated with billboards that advertise marijuana.
The proposal expands on a previous Senate plan that targeted billboards by prohibiting ads for illegal marijuana in all forms. Lobbyists for the advertising industry argue the move is government overreach.
And a bill in the Maryland General Assembly would regulate cryptocurrency kiosks, the more than 700 ATM-like machines for virtual currencies around the state.
The FBI received more than 4,400 complaints about those kiosks in 2023, according to a report on cryptocurrency scams. Nearly 60% of complaints came from people over the age of 60. The legislation would establish registration and operating requirements for the kiosks in the state, enforced by the Commissioner for Financial Regulation. Tammy Bresnahan with AARP Maryland says crypto kiosks have become a new way for scammers to target people.
These kiosks have become a really haven for scammers to call people to say there's a problem with your account. You need to take money, $4,500 in cash and deposit into this nearby cryptocurrency kiosk because your account has been compromised.
The total losses from cryptocurrency kiosks in 2023 exceeded $150 million. I'm Zimone Perez.
Other states like Minnesota and Vermont have already passed legislation regulating these virtual currency kiosks. Finally, registration is open for the next information session for the Doswell School of Aeronautical Sciences at Texas Women's University in Denton.
Students accepted into the program will study to earn their pilot's license. TWU is the only woman-based university nationwide with a professional pilot's program. Professor Clinton Grant says it's a hands-on curriculum.
Once they go through all the steps to get into the program and the semester starts, within a week or so, they're in an airplane flying. It's not something they have to wait later as junior, senior years before they get into it. We start them as quickly as we can. So it's a lot of fun.
The program is limited to 25 students in the fall and spring semesters. The next information session is April 11th. I'm Frida Ross reporting.
The aeronautics program is still early on. The first classes were held in 2024. Grant says they'll grow and they'll have more options for students. This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported. Hear us on interesting radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find our content and trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
All right now.
We forget our name, too.
What's that?
We forget our name. We don't always say local roundup.
Oh. I thought you meant like Chuck. Like, yeah, I do forget my name sometimes.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the KCHW Morning Show. We are joined here with our school superintendent, Jason Perrins. Good morning, Jason. How you doing?
Good morning, and thank you. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming once again.
You are welcome. Once you get a little bit closer to that microphone, you got to get right up.
Yeah, because I'm not hearing him.
You got to pretty much have that thing in your mouth. It's kind of annoying.
That is. Okay. And I'll try not to touch it.
Right.
Well, like I said, being involved in the schools, you know about teaching kids not to lick things.
Right.
I have to warn our DJs, please don't lick the microphones. But be close enough to do it if you really want to.
You know, if they were flavored or had a different sense to them, then maybe I'd get closer. Right?
I know, right?
I did spray them yesterday with Lysol, so
that's a good thing.
So that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't smell the Lysol; it's all gone.
Well, that's why I do it the day before, so it doesn't choke everybody. You spray Lysol in this little room, it takes over really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So, and I try to spray. Actually, I try to spray before Tom comes in. Because Tom's battling cancer.
He's one of our DJs.
So yeah, I try to get everything cleaned up and get the microphone sprayed down before he comes in. So, all right. So Jason, you've got a bunch of stuff to talk to us about. It is getting close to the end of the school year. Summer's on its way. I know I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit because it's just now the start of spring, but
I know my heart just stopped when you said end of school year. I'm like, no, wait.
But, it's coming up quickly. I apologize for that. You still got how much left do you have left in the school year? A couple months?
Well, we end in June, so middle of June, and so it's right around the corner. It happens every year.
I know.
It's weird. It just every spring it's like school's almost out. So we have spring break actually coming up next week, so there'll be a little pause for everybody, a little reset. And and then we'll be back again for another round.
Nice.
And in June.
Resets are good. It was Sharon that did that to me earlier. She was like, "Oh, June's right around the corner," and I was like, "No." So she's got it in my mind that
it happens.
That it is the end. It is the end. So you gotta, like I said, you have a bunch of stuff to talk to us about. Spring break next week.
Yep.
So is that all week long?
All week long.
All week long. Okay,
Monday to
perfect.
Friday. Yep.
It feels like when I was a kid, we had like 3 days off for spring break and not quite the whole week. I don't know.
I don't know what state you've been in. It's always
where
been a
were
week.
you? Alaska?
The Tri-Cities and then Alaska. So
He's like, well, actually,
we don't.
You sure it's not your memory?
I could be confusing it with Thanksgiving break. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Again, that goes, but sometimes I don't remember my own name. So there's that. All right. So we have the career fair coming up very soon.
Yeah. So this is something quite new to the community. I suspect before the pandemic, I'm assuming there was a career fair because usually schools do those.
But I remember when I worked for the school, we had them.
Yeah. Not but it's been years since we've had one. So the principal, Mr. Anderson, has, and the district, we had a meeting last spring where we brought a lot of community together to explore how we can build a bridge between our students, our older students, into the workforce, into the community. And things are much different than they used to be back, Sharon, back in the old days when we had career fairs. We're actually going to go deeper, I think. And one of the goals we want, so this is just a first step, though. I mean, this will be a first good effort, and then we want it to grow, obviously. It's like our Showcase in the Park that we do every year.
Right.
We're doing our fourth one that's coming up. It'll be May 20th. It'll be the Tuesday.
Okay.
It'll be another Showcase in the Park where all the kids get to come and display and show for the community. And of course, I feel like I just saw a squirrel, so I'm sidestepping a second.
No.
But the Showcase of the Park is really powerful because we got the Lions Club, Kiwanis, the Chamber, VFW. A lot of support from the community comes in, and they cook food, and then the kids from kindergarten all the way through, it's kind of like a progression, get to show some of the highlights of things they're learning.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, learning is always more powerful or more engaging when you can show or demonstrate something, right?
Right.
So, and especially to the public. So when kids see that there's people there and their parents, not just their parents, but others, and they're interested in their learning, kids will also put more effort into it.
Yes.
And so we're all that way. It's not just kids. We're the same way. If I know that I've got to present something and people are going to be there and I'm going to be on stage performing, I'm going to practice. I'm going to do whatever it takes to put my best foot forward, right? So it's really inspiring for the kids, and they get to show that. And so that'll be May 20th. It's on a Tuesday. The last couple of years it's been on a Thursday, but now we've moved to, because of we're trying to navigate a sweet spot with athletics and sports and stuff, and we haven't quite found it yet because a lot of times our athletes are gone.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find this space. But anyways, so that's it. Now going back to
those are a lot of fun too. I mean,
all
the creations and everything. I wanted to talk to whoever is organizing that. We didn't have it in place last year in time for the children's art fair.
Right.
On the main stage, we have an actual like concert quality sound system on the main stage that I'd love. I have access to that. The radio station's kind of been in charge of setting that up. I would love to come set that up for the kids, and they can have a real big booming sound system to perform with.
That would be great.
Yeah,
that would be. We would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our bands perform, and sometimes our science kids perform on stage. So we actually use that stage for certain performance type stuff. And we'll see what the kids produce this year, which is exciting. Now going back to the career fair. So the career fair, is this? It's on May 15th. It's the first.
The career fair is when?
May 15th.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the intention there is Mr. Anderson's going around working with the community, business in the community, and even outside the community, any way that we can expose our students to careers and pathways. And there's so much to do out there. I mean, so much more. I mean, it seems like maybe, Chuck, I have the same memory you do. But back when I was a student, right, and you went to a career fair and there's like 5 or 6 careers, right? Oh, wow, this is great. There are so many now. We can't even, it's just amazing. But having those students see and talk to those people that are in that space, in that business is really important. And then then we're going to have a time where the parents can also come and be with their students and have that conversation. And then at the end, Mr. Anderson's talking about the community coming.
Yeah.
And saying, people who need a job, perhaps. So not just for our students, but for our community, people that are
yeah.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, and that I just heard that. I thought that's a great idea,
That
right?
is, yeah.
So it's now more of a community effort, but also focused on our students and getting them. Now, we hope down the road and working with New Health and here in the community, as well as working with business owners who are willing to do that, provide not just a career fair, but get them into those spaces and businesses during during high school, so they can see or experience or do some kind of form of that career, like the radio.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple students come here and they help and they work out, they do what they can to be exposed to radio.
I would love that. I know I've talked to you before about.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna ask, does a volunteer radio DJ count as part of career day?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a career.
But we want to go farther than that,
Yeah.
Chuck. We want to actually have kids come here and help you out.
I would love that.
And have that experience, because if they're really into radio, then there's no better way. You're not going to get that in the classroom.
Oh, no.
Sitting reading a book about it or watching a video. You're going to come here and see the real. So
exactly.
So
and
our
it's fun.
Our
It is
desire,
fun.
and our vision for this is eventually to do that for a lot of the seniors, so that when they graduate, not only do they not, obviously read and write, that's something they really usually conquer by 10th grade, right? So now we really want them, so when they graduate, have an academic strength of skills, but yet exposure to 1, 2, maybe 3 different careers of interest to them.
Yeah.
That they can actually walk the talk, right? I know radio. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so someone's saying, "Oh yeah, you worked." Yeah, I did. I did an internship or some form. I spent several weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
We haven't defined that yet, but get that exposure.
Well,
So-
one thing I've actually been meaning to talk to you about this. We have, fingers crossed, we have a grant that we've applied for through the Inovia Foundation.
Oh, right.
We've been talking, I've talked to you about it before too, about starting some sort of kids program. One of the problems we have here at the radio station is it's a nonprofit volunteer station. A lot of the equipment we have isn't exactly what kids are going to encounter as they go out into the real world of radio and broadcasting. A lot of it still kind of runs on duct tape and a prayer.
Yeah.
Some of our equipment's outdated. We're still working on it. A lot of the stuff we can, we function with what we have. But we have a grant out for a whole bunch of new equipment.
Wonderful. Wow.
And this equipment is designed specifically so we can start a youth program, because we want kids to be able to come in and learn on the same equipment that they're going to go out, or similar equipment that they can take that knowledge and use it on real world applications, not just for radio, but for any kind of broadcasting, podcasting.
Wonderful. Right. It's all it
TV,
transitions
radio,
to other modes. Yeah.
So I'd love to talk to you guys about that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get this grant and get some updated equipment. But
we will hope for that too.
Well,
we can still do some fun stuff with what we have in the meantime.
Right.
Yeah, because the real world is that we don't function with all new stuff.
The real world is definitely duct tape and a
true.
prayer.
Yes, that's
so
exactly
true.
right. So that's something to.
Yeah, the world runs on duct tape.
It really does.
I mean, it does. Yeah.
Right.
Duct tape, zip ties, and bubble
Yep,
gum.
Exactly.
Yep.
Perfect.
Right, and basic stuff for like your career fair. Is there something that they can learn how to do the basics, like change a tire or change their oil or?
Well, that would be something at a
right?
career fair, not so much, but they would be exposed to that. But I think if we're able to get them in that space to
Right.
experience that, and we have classes that we have an amazing
basic
career
welding.
technical
I heard you had a
education
great
system.
welding.
Yep, they do that in class. Yeah.
One of the last career fairs that I was with when I worked at the school, and I quit in 2017, so it's been a while. My son-in-law came and talked about wildlife biology, and his classes were packed.
Yeah,
because because there were different teachers going on. You had your pick of which classes you want.
Right. Yeah.
But he taught a couple that day, and his classes were packed, and some of the other classes were really packed too. So there is a real interest for a real variety.
There is. Yeah. And I think the career fair is just a one-time event. But Sharon, you remind me of something that I've always been encouraging guest speakers coming in often throughout the year.
Yeah.
And a lot of our teachers, do that. They'd like to do more of it. But anytime that you can bring in people, not just for a career fair, but have them interact with the people that are in the business is always great.
I know that. I don't know which teacher, but I know Barry Thomason used to come in regularly and talk about the real world of finance because that's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of that still happens. I don't know about Barry, but I think, but we want to, Chuck, do this. Get the Barrys, the Chucks, we want New Health.
Yeah.
They're doing some amazing things. New Health is.
Oh, they are.
And it's incredible what they're creating, and we want to be a part of that, and really for our students, so that when they graduate, they walk out with skills and experience, and not just something they read in a book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's our ultimate goal.
And I think that's what was in my brain when I was thinking of the practical skills when I was saying about changing a tire and doing basic things.
Yeah.
I know I have 2 adult kids, and so when they graduated, there was so much that they hadn't even thought about.
Right.
Right, because we don't have the traditional home ec classes anymore, and they don't have. And so I got the strangest calls as my young adults, 19, 20, going out on their own. Mom, how do I do this?
I can actually remember calling my mother and say, how do I make mashed potatoes?
Seriously, basic little things.
Well, I don't know if we'll be teaching kids how to make mashed potatoes.
I know, but I did a lot of cooking when I was at home. But, it was just kind of a...
Oh my gosh, this is a different, how do I figure out what this laundry machine is, or how do I have to pay attention to my money? What is this checking register? what am I doing?
One of my kids, I remember they had life skills classes. I don't know if they still have those kind of classes at the high school.
We teach finance. We teach a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think we can say we don't teach everything. Obviously, there's not enough time in a child's life, but we expose them to a lot of stuff. But what we're talking about here is not just going to school to get it, but bringing people in to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the transition transformation we're trying to create, is that, bringing those people in so they can interact with them.
Yeah.
And, our teachers do great, obviously, but there's nothing having that experience yourself with interaction with the people that are in those spaces.
The actual professionals.
You can't replace that.
This is what it means to be a nurse. This is what it means to be a doctor.
Yeah.
This is what it means to be a scientist.
Or a dog groomer.
Yeah.
My dog groomer retired, and I don't know where I'm going to go to take my little dog. I want something in Chewelah. I don't want to go to Deer Park or Colville.
Maybe some kids will listen to this and decide to make that career choice.
Yeah.
So.
Seriously, not every career has to be through college. I mean, it can be.
College actually offers. Actually, colleges outside of college, you have more exposure to careers than in college.
Yeah.
I found it to be true with math too.
Don't say that.
Hey, if you're
I went into construction right after school. I'll say partway through my college career. Some of the math that I learned doing that is stuff that we kind of glossed over it in school, and I maybe cheated off whoever was sitting next to me. I had no idea what I was doing in school, but then
we
in
do
real
not advocate cheating off
no,
the
no,
person
I was
next
kidding.
to you.
I would never do that. They were cheating off me, of course. But no, and then once you get using it in the real world where it makes sense and it clicks, that's really when the stuff starts to sink in. Like, wow, I need to learn this stuff. Yeah,
I have to know these angles, and I have.
Well,
to
that's where
that's real.
Yeah, well, that's our superpower.
Yeah,
is that we're preparatory, so we help students learn these skills. Math is essential. It is essential. It is like reading and writing. I mean, we've been hearing this already before I was even born. Everybody says it, but it's true. And so writing helps you learn to think.
Yep.
Writing is more of, everybody think it's writing, but it's actually thinking.
It is.
Evaluating yourself, exposing yourself to yourself about what you're going to say and what people are going to think about. So writing is a very important skill. Math, essential.
Exactly.
So, and then when we bring in career fair, we bring in people, we bridge that gap. It's like, okay, here's your skills, and now look at what you can do with them. And that's that connection that's so important.
I once read a book. It wasn't fiction. It was a nonfiction, but a novel about the number 0, and it was fascinating. Just the history of the number 0, and what it meant to history. Because 0 wasn't always a number. It wasn't always a concept. It came on very early in math, but it's just interesting of how it's shaped and how it's formed.
Of the importance of math.
Of the importance of the number 0 in math, and how it really transformed how we understood the world around us.
Yeah.
I love it.
Phenomenal stuff.
I'm a homeschooling mom. I talk to my son, and he's math, blah blah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's nothing that cannot be described with math. There's nothing that cannot be built or described or discovered with math.
Music
math
is math.
another language.
Yeah.
So going through, so we're starting algebra, and the algebra course that we're doing has a big emphasis on physics as well.
Uh-huh.
So our experiment today is I have some hooks in the ceiling, and we're going to measure a pendulum, and
Yep.
if it changes with different weights. So, I mean, just make it fun, make it
I-
interactive.
Yeah, and I always think that if you've, how do I say this? If you can develop the right skills in math, reading, and writing, there is no career, no business, there's nothing you can't do.
Yep.
Once you become, once you graduate. If you have made yourself associated strongly with those three subjects, then whether it's a dog groomer or a rocket scientist, you can do any of those. And that's what public education does.
Yep.
Is we're preparatory. We don't, and so that's what we do. And we can get those students to have those skills. Then when they decide as older people what they want to do, they will be able to do those things.
So speaking of rocket science,
Yes.
do you know there's not a local rocket club here?
You're right. I wouldn't be familiar with that. No.
I think we need a rocket club.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
Well, there used to be one in Spokane, but they apparently are not doing it anymore.
Well,
So
you can be the chair.
Rockets
of
and
the
robotics,
committee.
yeah.
Well, that would be fun.
When Gino taught in the middle school, he did a class on rockets. They built rockets. They went out to the
See?
football field and shot them off.
Well, we do that. Mr.
Yeah.
Forsberg, our science teacher at Jenkins, he's got a whole
Okay,
section on
so
that.
that is a rocket.
Oh, no, they shoot them off, and they have to create them and
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
from their mistakes. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
So,
and in one course they were making trebuchets, just little ones,
Uh-huh.
But my son, who's an overachiever, made one with 2x4s, and it was 10 feet tall and 8 feet wide. And they took it down in a pickup in sections and took it to the football field, and the whole junior high went out and watched him shoot off him and his friend.
Did it get off the ground?
Well, no, they shot pumpkins or something,
okay,
with
gotcha,
their
gotcha.
trebuchet.
Yeah.
I'm not talking rockets. I'm
Oh,
talking,
gotcha. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, trebuchets. That would be awesome. We've only done the air pressure rocket, where you hook it up and you use the bike pump until the can goes shooting off into the sky.
Yeah, I won't say what I did. But,
I want to say, going back to learning, you've got your your math, science, English.
Yeah.
I think one of the for me anyway, one of the biggest takeaways from school, and one of the things that I think is important throughout your life that you never stop doing, is just learning how to learn.
Yeah. Exactly.
And being able to allow yourself to absorb new knowledge, especially in adulthood, because as childhood it's getting thrown at you, and a lot of people, I think, they get out of school and they say, okay, I'm done learning.
Oh,
you are
no.
never done
No,
learning.
Never.
No. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the most important things that you can get out of any kind of education.
Yeah, you don't want to end your
is
learning
the
after
ability
high
to learn.
school. You won't. You're
You'll
gonna
miss out.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dead end right there of getting out of school and
Exactly.
thinking you've learned all there is to learn.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No kidding.
Well,
No.
I notice on our little chats here that Mike Bentz, who used to sit in this chair where I am,
yeah,
that I
Mike.
got to take
hey,
over.
Mike.
He's in
his-
Montana, right?
Yeah, he's
still?
in Montana.
Yeah.
He says, sounds like great things are happening in Chihuahua. Great. Congratulations. And as I prepare my script for the radio show for Wednesdays, I compare to what Mike did, because to me, he set the bar real high for the local roundup. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's
Mike's-
nice that he's listening.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's doing well. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what is the mentor program? I see that's on the list. Is
Yeah.
that-
So Jenkins has been engaged through a grant in mentoring, establishing a mentoring program. So older students helping younger students.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they navigate everything from goal setting to, just having that mental strength and believe in yourself kind of concept. And this goes beyond, the idea comes from having a mentor. Everybody needs a mentor. I actually have 2 mentors. I don't know if you know that. Well, you wouldn't know that because I'm just now telling you. But as a superintendent, I have mentors that I talk to. One of them is a gentleman who's a retired superintendent in California. He's in San Francisco and Salinas. And so he and I talk regularly. And I have another mentor who I'll not mention because he's kind of local, but without his permission. A guy in California, he's not going to know, right? So,
Well, I don't know. We've got listeners all over the world.
All right, there you go. But, it's essential, and it doesn't matter where you are in your profession. You need mentors.
Right.
And so I encourage anybody who seems to be struggling or not struggling, but just wants to grow, like you said, continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You grow best with mentors. And I've had mentors all my career. And fortunately, I've had two superintendents. One has since passed away. They were key mentors to me, before I took this position. And the growth in that is just, it's incalculable. So this all extends down to students, and not just the mentee, but the mentor both benefit from the process. And so Jenkins, Mr. Anderson, and the team of teachers there, Ms. Bigler, the counselor, they're really going and helping kids do that. So that creates a really good culture. So, and sometimes, believe it or not, whether adults believe this or not, it's true. So if you don't, you better now. Sometimes students can connect with their peers better than we. Better than adults.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes...
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah. And so that needs to be part of the system. That needs to be part of the culture.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean... it's not to take away from us as adults. I mean, teachers obviously have their big influence, and they do. They do amazing work. But sometimes it's like, get the kid over here to talk to that kid, because they're going to listen to you sometimes more than us. And so that's the nature of that.
Nice.
And I think that you're talking about having different age groups, aren't you? Because
it's not.
Because in school, that's a really unnatural thing to be always with the same age. Well, the rest of your life, you're going to be with older and younger people.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So getting along with older and younger people is really important. We see that in the theater. We have the older kids who are mentoring the younger kids, and we have little kids who look up to those older kids, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a valuable,
Yep.
I know when I went to middle school, our school was involved in an experimental program where we didn't have periods 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. We had blocks throughout the day, and every day we'd have about a 2 or 3 hour, like two or three blocks of time, and we would do mixed grades. So all the different grades were mixed together. And the older kids would work with the younger kids on the stuff that we did the year before.
Right.
That was the younger kids, and we had different roles in those projects and the classes, and it was a really cool program. And that to this day that still continues, because I have still friends that were, older than me at the time and younger than me at the time, and it made my peer group. It more than tripled my peer group. Because and especially going through high school, those high school seniors, when I was a junior, still trying to figure stuff out, they were my friends, and they were still helping me out with stuff. And that was such a huge part of my childhood, was this mixed grade. And then likewise, when I was a senior, when I was a junior, or especially when I was a sophomore, those younger kids coming in as a freshman.
Yeah.
And then I was able to connect them with the kids that I knew that were juniors at the time. And it was this not intergenerational, but, intergrade relationships were amazing and hugely helpful.
Well, and Jenkins has this, I guess, this opportunity, because it's grades 7 through 12.
Oh, yeah.
And they are, even though they don't hang out, so to speak, but they are exposed to each other, and a lot more than you would see in other districts. So, but, seniors, they have talent.
They do.
They're very smart, and they're amazing.
Capable.
Yeah. And why would we not tap into that resource to help the younger generation? And so Mr. Anderson's he's leading this, and he's doing a great job. So it's just getting started, and we'll just keep moving forward. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, and some of that I see, like one of my daughters was helped in the grade school when she was in high school. And we said, you need to be a teacher. You need to be a teacher because of how well she was.
Yeah.
Well, she went out and went through college and did a bunch of stuff, and went out and thought she was going to make a lot of money different places. Finally landed on teaching, and she's an excellent teacher and has been for a long time.
Yeah, you have a talent. Use it. If not, you're wasting time.
She just didn't believe her mother that she would be a teacher.
Well, if someone else would have told her, she would have believed it.
Probably.
One of her peers going, you'd be a great teacher.
Right. Yeah. See, there you go.
Yep.
So that kind of brings us to this second bullet point, which is facing financial cuts. That's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's terrible. It's like, we all have nightmares, and this is one of those that you don't want to have. So the Chewila School District has done really well, I think, financially, and we still are. It's not like but we've faced what I'm trying to explain to people is that it seems like if one of the three didn't happen, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. But it seems like all the stars aligned not in our favor, right? So it's like we've had significant inflation, and we've seen that in our expenses. I mean, our insurance has gone up 60, I think more than 60%.
Wow.
Just in the last 2 years, and then our the rising costs of, well, you guys all experience it. I don't need to sit here and lecture you about it. We're all feeling
food
it.
Costs,
yeah,
material costs,
everything.
and
even in some of the projects we've had to do, whether it's sidewalks or some of the levies that we've passed, we just go out for bids and then we add a few percentage on that because of inflation. But then it goes so high that we haven't been able to do the parking lot at Jenkins, which we passed a levy for, because when we did the science classrooms, we had to take that money to finish the science classrooms.
Mm.
So we're seeing it. You guys are all seeing it. So this has happened over the last few years where you keep dipping into your fund to pay your regular bills.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't help us. And then the state legislature, who funds schools, I think some people may think that we get our funding from the state.
Right,
so
right.
we don't go out and make our own revenue, right? So that's our only revenue.
Right.
We do levies, which you're familiar with, and those help with athletics, and they supplement some things that the state won't cover.
Yeah, but levies are supplemental. They don't fund
right.
programs. They just meet the
Well, they
meet
fund
the
some of the extra programs, like our arts and stuff, but they don't cover education as a whole. And so so when there's inflation and your bills go up, because the state funds what's called MSOCs. That's our acronym, which is your maintenance and operations. So it's your operational costs, like paying your
electric bill.
Just your stuff that you have to buy toilet paper. You have to buy. These are just the basics.
Yeah.
Well, our and this is not just Chewelah, by the way. Every district's facing this.
Oh yeah.
And so when these rates go up, and the state doesn't give you more money to pay those, then who pays for it?
You got to figure out where to cut the money from or get it from the community.
Correct. Yeah. And so that's the situation we're in. And, this community is just amazing of supporting schools with levies, but we don't ask for the full amount because it's a tax, right? It's so we choose something that we can live and get by. Well, now with the state not funding education and the bills going up, now you're in this crisis to where, and plus our enrollment has also gone down. It spiked really high last year, and now it's gone down to what it's been, I guess, the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So when you get your enrollment also drives your funding. Right. In fact, it's the biggest driver. Then the other things I'm mentioning are small, but this is the big driver. So when your enrollment goes down, even if it goes down 40 kids, that's a lot. I mean, that's not some people. Oh, that's only it's a lot, or 50 or more. So those all came together at head, and we noticed it kind of at the beginning of last year. And that's what's been the struggle is we've been seeing this coming, and we're kind of rolling. Really, is this really happening to us?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just started to hit. And then when the legislature actually had some bills, because they're in their long session right now, that were going to save us. House Bill 1338 from the House, and then you had some from the Senate. We're all, hey, we're gonna get the money to pay our bills, right?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of that's died now. Yeah. There is a small effort, and there's a Senate bill. I don't know the number. Maybe I should have wrote them down before I came. That has some that's going to give us a little bit. It won't really cover a lot of the costs, but it'll be a little bit. And so there's other fundings. I won't go into it. I'm probably boring your listeners or probably turning us off.
This is important.
But so those combinations are putting us in a tight situation. We are, because of our enrollment has dropped, that's another primary reason where we just need to be back in line with the number of our students. And so it's a tough situation, and it's not fun by any means.
Do you have any indication of what's sort of fueling the drop in enrollment?
That's a great question, but we had a spike in enrollment.
Right.
I mean, we got, I don't have the exact numbers with this because they fluctuate every month, right? But the average is significantly increased. And we adapted to that, and we did some hires, and we just thought, okay, great, this is the new Chewelah. And then when we budgeted, we thought we wouldn't. When we budget, it's based on enrollment, so we actually go less because you always lose students and then you gain them.
Right.
It's not a science. So unfortunately, if it was, then we'd be better predictors of what's going to happen in the future. But it's so fluctuating, and kids move. Things happen. We just enrolled a bunch of students this week. So that's the hard part. But in the end, that's where our budget comes from, and so we have to we have to make some cuts to get in line with our enrollment.
Right.
And so it's not that things are going bad; it's just the fact that we have to be in step with the funding we get. So
I know it's just anecdotal, but I do know quite a few families that have moved here with kids, and it's sort of, not strange isn't the right word, but it's the majority of the families that I know that have moved here in the last few years, probably post-COVID, almost all of them are homeschooled. And I'm wondering if that, I mean, again, that's just purely anecdotal.
Sure.
Might
Yeah.
be the kind of people that I gravitate towards. But yeah, it seems like there's a huge, have you seen the numbers on that? Is there an uptick in homeschool enrollments?
Well, homeschool enrollments, they never come to the school.
I was gonna say, you
so
don't know what they are.
But you do have to register with the school.
We do.
Yeah.
You have a list of them. Some of them don't, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
you
supposed
register
to.
with the district.
Yeah, with the district you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
send my letter of intention to the district
Yep,
every
exactly.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we've always
And we
done
don't
too,
have
yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're technically supposed to, but you know. Yeah.
I think for some parents during COVID, maybe those forms got forgotten about, or
Yeah, I don't have a judgment on that.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Well,
Interesting.
a school is just like a family, and your budget and your finances are just like a family, and all of us should understand how it's tighter in our families. My medical costs, there's one medication I take because I'm diabetic, and it has doubled since
Oh, my
December.
goodness. Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
doubled.
Yeah.
And so, and it's one that the Medicare doesn't pay very much of because I'm on Medicare.
Yeah.
And so I can understand the school's bills doubling, but it's just, it's $1 million instead of my $1,000 kind of thing.
And if
you
the
know?
state would cover those costs, we wouldn't.
We'd be okay.
Yeah.
We'd be okay. But now we got to dip into other things or make cuts to pay the bills. So.
Well, and the state would be in the same position as the school in that you have all of these schools that
Yeah.
are increasing their
Yeah.
all the expenses, and where are they going to get the money? You know, it's
Well, they're
just-
going to tax you.
Yeah, I know.
I
you
can't
know.
do that. So,
Yeah.
Time to switch to the one ply.
Yeah.
So-
their solution is, well, they have two choices: cuts or increased taxes. And
Yeah.
so that's what the legislature's arguing over now. Is know
Right,
some don't
right.
want to; they want to cut programs, and others want to raise taxes. So
yeah.
we'll see what that
And so we all have to learn to do more with less. And it sounds like that's what the school is doing,
Yeah.
is learning to do more with less. I remember...
But they didn't have much to begin with.
Yeah, a few years...
Well, we
I mean,
yeah
did okay, but
Yeah.
we took care of ourselves. We're pretty good at that. It's just
Yeah.
that when outside influences affect us that we don't have control over,
Right.
that's where it gets really tough.
Yeah.
And there's one other there's some legislation going on right now, and actually this is probably 4-day-old business, but I was in Olympia what's today, Wednesday? Last week. And there are some tax increases coming down the pike, property taxes that's being proposed, and that will make it more difficult for us to pass levies.
Oh,
And so the
Yeah.
state's short on money a lot, and I don't.
Yeah.
Their figures are different. Depends on you talk to the Senate, the House, or the governor. They all have different billions of whatever it is, but if they increase taxes, especially property taxes, it's going to make it very difficult or more difficult for schools to fund because
Yeah.
we're gonna add to that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's unfortunate, but that's where
Yeah.
we're at. So.
And do any of those increase in property taxes? I know they're that's not an easy answer, but is those have the increase in taxes have to come on a local level to go to the schools, right? So state increases don't go to the local school district.
No, the state gets the money so they can fund their
Distribute it,
programs,
yeah.
whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
We get some of it, obviously.
Right,
The-
right.
Most of our funding comes from the state, so the local levies that we pass are just they're minuscule
Right.
compared to the money we get from the state for
Right.
schools. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
years ago when I was still working, we failed one of those levies, and we were all told anybody that had anything to do with sports, and that's what I did. I was the ASB bookkeeper at the high school. I got a pink slip. My job wasn't going to be funded. So then they, with all the information, they ran the levy again, and it passed, and so I still had a job.
Yeah.
But those extra things that we fund locally were taken away for a while.
Well, Mary Walker's going through that right now.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I
yeah.
see.
So they have a levy coming up, and it's going to be it's going to hurt that community if they don't pass that levy.
Yeah.
It just will.
That's been a contentious one too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth about that one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the contention is, okay, people have a right to speak and be contentious, but the fact is they're not going to have money, so there's going to be cuts.
Right.
You can't. That's not deniable. That's facts. And numbers don't lie, and they don't have feelings. And so you don't have the money, you got to make cuts, and that will hurt the school district. Whether you believe it shouldn't or couldn't, whatever your philosophy is irrelevant. The fact is they're not going to have money, and they're going to have to make cuts.
Yeah.
So
and some of that extracurricular stuff is what keeps some kids in school.
Yeah.
Well, and fed, and there's a lot of supporting documentation for schools as entities for all of the overwhelming things that they do to support the community.
Yeah.
So how can the community better support Jenkins? How can we support the schools here? What can we do? Like what can I do if I go home and say, honey, we've got to support the school? What do I do?
Well, I think most of what's some of the things we talked about, be engaged with career fairs, whenever the schools come up with something, just be engaged with that. That's what the students need most. Financially, this community supports the district through levies, and that's really the core of what it allows us to do the things that we want to do for students. But, if you're politically active, you can talk to your legislature, but that's a whole nother level. But essentially for us in the community, just be supportive of what we're get involved or listen or pay attention or, whatever you can. Come to the student showcase at the park.
Absolutely.
Just be present and see and support the students. I think the more we support the students, I think everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. Sorry. There you go.
She's experienced too, right?
You're missing your microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, very cool.
So I want to hear more about the multi-tier systems of support. Is that?
Yeah. So this is part of the school board. When I came on board, that sounds kind of weird. About 4 years ago, we started a journey to where we wanted to increase the number of students performing at or above grade level. About half of our kids, sometimes 60, depends on the year, 60% are doing great. It's the other students that we're really trying to focus on. And so through our PLC work, which is professional learning communities, which is everybody knows that school starts late, an hour late on Monday. It's been that way in this district for a long time. So that time that those teachers use to really look at student learning and how they're teaching. And what that generates is students who are not.
Right.
So if you have a conversation about, hey, I gave this test, or we're doing these things together, and these kids are not getting it. What do you do with them? And that's what MTSS is. And now the schools are building a multi-tiered system of support. So how are we going to rally behind these students to have them learn those skills? So all the teachers, all the classes have identified what we call guaranteed standards. So when you're taking first grade in reading, you're going to know these 15. I'm making up a number. You're going to know these 15 standards. You're going to know these well to get ready for the next grade. And so that's what we're focusing on. So every student builds up, and so they have that. And so MTSS provides that support because not every child learns at the same rate, the same time, or
in the same way.
And because of that, our teachers are very good at differentiating, bringing in. They have so many tricks. It's like, it's amazing what they can do.
Oh yeah.
But so when they deliver instruction if there's 3 or 4 kids that just aren't getting it, now the multi-tier system of support says, hey, we're going to give you it a different way, and we're going to give it to you more time to get it, so that so fewer kids are left behind. So that's what Guess Elementary and Jenkins has been focused on since last year, and it takes a while to change this. By the way, this just doesn't happen overnight. It's working with your staff, working with the kids, kind of developing that culture we talked about, and so that's what Mr. Anderson and Mrs. Price and their staff are doing, and so I wanted the community to know that. So when your child comes, it's really important that we're giving that individualized attention. So
I know, Ed, when I was a kid, you put my hands on something, I soak it up like a sponge. You get involved with something. But a teacher standing in front of the classroom reading out of a book, it's Charlie Brown noises to me.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're saying. To this day, I hear Charlie Brown noises a lot. I think that might have something to do with my undiagnosed ADHD when I was a kid, but
Well, it just goes to the fact that everybody learns differently.
Yeah.
And the teachers do present, and they do whole class instruction. They do small groups. They do a variety to be able to get those students to connect with the skills or knowledge they're trying to teach. And so, anyways, MTSS is to provide that additional support.
Yep.
So we don't want to lose anybody.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, and a good way to learn is to learn and then teach. And so this multi-tier,
program, yeah.
the older people are learning. They've learned things before, and then they're teaching it. That just makes it more solid inside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like you said, the different learning styles is huge, and I think a lot of us grew up. You know, we've all had that teacher that we just like. What are you even trying to tell me here? We just couldn't understand it. I failed my Algebra 2 class, 1 year with one teacher.
Oh, Chuck,
had no
no
idea what was going on,
What were you doing?
What were you doing, Chuck?
I know every teacher's different, and she was great, but I would ask a question, and she would just read it again from the book. I'm like, is there doing the same? But then I took it the same class again the next year.
Right.
Got 100%. I got an A+ in that class the next year. Part of it may have been because it was my second time doing it.
Right.
But I had checked out. The first year I was like, I'm not going to get this, and just stopped. But being that different style, all of a sudden it just clicked. I'm like, oh, this is really easy.
Yeah.
Just because it was a different
advantage to a school that can have more than one teacher in one.
Exactly.
I remember when I had two kids who took math at the high school here. And the one just loved this one math teacher. The other one couldn't learn a thing from him, but loved the other math teacher. So just the way they taught.
That hasn't changed. Everything's different. So,
so
because the multi-tier system then compensates for those differences, and it allows the student to, instead of just blaming something else, but gives them exposed to a different delivery or more time.
Yep.
And we know that if we can do that, then we can get every student to learn those standards.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have tons of games, man. I'm into game schooling. Anything that I can put into a game, I've got games on science. I have math games. You should see my closet.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, having trouble? We're going to play a game.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Jason, we're about out of time here. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else we didn't touch on?
Hey, I just want to thank everyone, the community, for supporting our schools and our kids. And it's we enjoy that. We the announcer booth, if you know anything about the story, we have that replaced.
Yes.
That's at the board meeting and then on our website we'll be posting a video of inside of it, kind of like a walkthrough video. But Mr. Tapia and our maintenance crew and everybody else that has been supporting that, and I want to thank our board of directors. The board of directors really are the ones behind all this. I think if their support of everything we've talked about today, they're aware of, but they've also been pushing in these spaces. But anyways, back to the announcer booth. I just saw another squirrel. Anyways, back to the announcer's booth. This is really great. That thing is so sturdy. I think it'll last probably at least 1,000 years. Because the one was not. It was about to fall over, and it lasted so long. So anyways, this thing is so solid, and it's nice in there. I'm thinking, man, this is like you bring a cot and a bed. It's like an apartment building. So
nice,
really nice.
Does it have Wi-Fi?
Yes, it has that.
Cool.
Nice.
We're actually gonna, we need. Again, funding's an issue, but we have put great speakers in there so you can hear anywhere around the stadium. That's our goal, right? So we may start out with something small until we can get something, but that's a great thing. Other projects are. This is old news because I haven't been on since September, but we've
too long.
Yeah, it's been a while. We expanded the kitchen at Jenkins through a grant. These are through grants, and just whenever we can make small adjustments are really important. And, we have grants out there that we hope, just like you, we hope we get them.
Right.
So we can make continue to make improvements to our facilities. So anyways, again, thank you for having me. And
thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
And let's do it again. I think next year we'll check in one more time.
Well, we should probably have you on before the end of the school year.
You can call anytime.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. It's whatever your schedule allows. I know you got so many awesome people.
Yeah, we've got our the mayor is on a regular monthly.
The mayor? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
competition now. I can.
Yeah, so we would love to have you more often.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, don't do it once a year.
I got to do better than the mayor.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I think the bills, the levies that we do want support for, we do need to know about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a way.
Well, right now we're not in that space.
Okay.
We have a 4-year levy that's lasting. And. Capital levy, we have one that was passed, so we're about 2 or 3 years out before we come to the voters. So
okay,
our struggle right now is the state funding. That's what's putting us in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
you so much
joining
for
us.
Have a wonderful. What's today?
The roundup.
Wednesday.
Roundup.
Yeah, okay.
Wednesday.
I lose track.
And don't forget, you can stay tuned right here tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. with Music for the Mountain. 8 to 10 p.m. with Dirt Road Blues with our very own Dirt Road Doug McQuain live in the studio. Then from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. we bring you Planetary Radio, Sea Change Radio, Echo Shock, Total, and Earth Date. And don't forget to tune in right here tomorrow morning on the KCHW Morning Show. We're actually going to have a couple members of our city council joining us. We will have Tracy Ling and Jim Caruso joining us on the morning show with some city stuff to talk about and a special message about our police chief who's going through some tough stuff and talking about a fundraiser we're doing for our police chief, Keith Cochran. So join in tomorrow morning on the KCHW Morning Show. This has been your morning show on KCHW 102.7 Northern Lights Public Radio. Have a great day, everybody.
Wednesday Local Roundup.
Wednesday Local Roundup.
It's 9.